Hi, baby. Wait, are you eating a donut with salad? Yeah. What's going on with you? What time is your next class, babe? 4:50. So you have 10 minutes. Joshua's father and I have joint custody over Joshua. And Josh, he's really blessed. Hello, everybody. Two male role models in his life. And Tim has such a great relationship with G. So we actually got to this really comfortable spot of understanding that the most important thing is Joshua. How about you, kid? How you doing? Good. Okay, should we get my clothes? So this weekend, do you think we'll have mom come back over on Sunday? Yeah, that was fun this past weekend. Okay, so come in here. Don't look at my early this evening to remind you all okay. About aftercare for the homeless. This is the first time we spent Valentine's Day with my mom. I haven't been on for a while, so I'm sorry. Let me mute this television. I haven't been able to be on for a while. I've been taking on different adventures. I have been researching, um, trying to get more help for homeless families. I'm putting in the work, guys. That's what we got to do out here. We cannot forget about the homeless families. You know, they out here struggling during this pandemic. I was one of them not even a year ago. I was definitely one of the homeless. I experienced quite a bit. So I want to just talk to you all a little bit about it and educate you more. If you have any questions or that you need answered, feel free to let me know in the chat. Moving right along. Um, so, I don't have the exact numbers, but just based on statistics, did you know 61% of men um, have been homeless between, uh, well, in 2021? So about 61% of men uh, were men, I'm sorry about that, were homeless. 160 children either living in shelters or on the streets, unfortunately. Let me talk a little bit about that. We tend to, you know, we ignore the fact of children that go through stuff. I know it to be true. I'm sure many of you all understand that children go through things, and the pandemic ain't had a name on nobody. It's not hasn't been biased at all. Children definitely experienced um, homelessness during the pandemic. As a matter of fact, when I was in the state custody myself, do you know one of the group homes I was sent to was like a temporary shelter hold until I was, they could find somewhere to place me permanently. I was living in a temporary placement for homeless kids, and a lot of kids that were there with me, they were living there permanently. They were homeless children. And I just got a little bit of the backstory on it, but as a matter of fact, that's what I was. I was a homeless kid, but I was waiting to move into a more permanent place, like a group home. So
I was there, and these children, I spoke to many of them while I was there, and I grew very fond, as a matter of fact, of some of the young people, the teenagers, because we all were teenagers, and there were LGBTQ children there, and this was in the 90s. This was in the 90s, and I wasn't really, I didn't know a lot about LGBTQ community, and that's not what it was called back in the 90s. But these people are human. They're just like me and you. They're no different. And like I say, I grew fond. I made friends with several. Some were transgender young people, and just some were bisexual, you know, so forth and so on. And I can remember, I think I had a pair of heels, and one of the boys that I used to talk to at the holding facility, he tried on my heels and was walking in the heels, honey, better than me. But anyway, that's just a fun moment that I remember. It was certainly wasn't fun, the circumstances we were there, but we were all homeless teenagers. And so I say all of that, share with you a little bit of that story, just to remind you that, yeah, kids are going through the pandemic too. How are you supporting? You know, if you did not know, you can support by donations. You know, shelters definitely take donations, drop off. Did you know stuff as simple as deodorant, body wash, necessity things are needed when you're homeless? And they're very hard to get if you don't have money. And homeless people, we don't, we got to think about it. If they're homeless, they may or may not have money to purchase these things. We don't know what their circumstances are. There are homeless people that are going through struggling with addiction. And so I'm going to assume right away that these people just don't have the money, or if they have the money and they're under addiction or suffering with addiction, they haven't purchased, they haven't thought to spend the dollar, that they're doing the drugs with on necessity things such as body wash. And I know that's nobody's fault, but if you're going through addiction, guess what? You're sick. You're suffering. And so we certainly can't fault them for that. So something as simple as, like I say, body wash, hygiene products, um, clothing. Some people, their clothes are worn for whatever reason. Shelters definitely need clothing. They need the basics, the necessities, shampoo, toothpaste, um, even things, just a little something to make a person feel better about themselves will help. You know, you'd be surprised. It's the littlest things that just might put a smile on a homeless person's face. I certainly, was very, very appreciative while I was in the homeless shelter. And the staff brought me some things that I needed for me and my child, you know, stuff as simple as um, a bottle of perfume. You know, I had been through, me and my child had just been through the storm and the rain, so to speak. You know, we were I can't speak for my kid, but I was feeling pretty down about myself, that I was homeless. I didn't have a place to live for me, for me and my child. And so that made it that much worse. And so I couldn't afford to buy myself anything at the time because I needed to save any dollar I had so that I could get out of homelessness. And so just to get just one little thing to make me brighten my day, you know, um, a bottle of body wash. That was something that brightened my day. So stuff as simple as clothes, can help, and little things, personal hygiene products. It makes a difference, guys. So like I said, since the pandemic, especially between 2020 and 2021, there has homelessness actually has risen, as you all should have been expected. It's a shame to say, yeah, but it's the truth. And now we just got to figure out what can we do to change the situation. Any anything will help that is offered. Any donations that you guys can think of, and maybe want to donate to your local homeless shelter or charity that works with families about homelessness. Anything that will benefit families, will be greatly, greatly appreciated. I can remember needing masks while I was in the shelter was pivotal, you know. And I was thinking, man, I'm lucky I was able to get me and my child into a homeless shelter. That's my choice. But everybody doesn't choose to live in a shelter. You guys know that. Everybody just don't take that route for whatever reason they have. But during this pandemic, honey, we had to wear masks. They are mandatory. I mean, things are lightening up now, but boy, when I was homeless back in October, the from the start of the pandemic, that's when I became homeless. And I was homeless up until October. But mass, you never know how serious you need something so bad. During the pandemic, definitely needed masks. And so I was just thinking, if we need masks, living in the homeless shelter, we had to wear masks. Ooh, it was vital to living there. If you didn't wear a mask, guess where you was gonna be? Out the door. That's how serious it was. I mean, the government has spoken. And so, if we had to wear masks in the shelter, I mean, we was in the shelter. We weren't outdoors. We was in the shelter. We had to wear masks in the shelter. Now the shelter gave us masks, right? If you didn't have your own, the shelter would give you a mask to make sure that you're protected for yourself and others that live in the shelter. But what about the people that was homeless living in the street? So that's what I was thinking. How was they surviving? You know, like how do you know which stores gave out masks? Every store didn't give out masks because they were abusing their mask privileges. Some people, you go in the store, they offer you a mask or leave a box out. People will grab a stack instead of one. They were mask abusing when considering or thinking about the people that got to come behind them. So that's what I was more thinking about. Well, how was they getting, how were they getting by? Homeless people getting by. How were they getting masks? So, I mean, I did start hearing on the TV, uh, we had TVs and shelters and stuff. So I would sit there some days and try to catch the news so I could keep up what was going on. Because I wasn't watching TV. I had shut down. I wasn't doing no TV, but I would, periodically turn on the news and watch to figure out what was going on so I could stay up to date with the pandemic and all. But I heard on the news that sometimes people were just randomly going by where they knew homeless people had set up, their headquarters, where they would sleep, their areas and stuff. And they would just hand out masks. So these nice donors would purchase masks and they just go over and hand them out to homeless people. So I thought that was absolutely wonderful. But, there's so many, it's all the ways, of what homeless people have to go through, especially when they're living on the street or they're not in a shelter. But some of the things that they have to go through when they're even in a shelter, Because when you get in the shelter, your plan should be the whole while you in the shelter is what you gonna do when you get out the shelter. And so we have to think about stuff like that because there's still a lot of people homeless right now. And I know things are open right now, but I don't know if y'all got the feeling, but I'm going to tell you, I got a feeling that everything should shut right back down. And many of you all might feel the same way and agree with me if you're watching the news and paying attention to what's going on with our government. They don't sound very secure these days. They opened up, but you got so many naysayers saying, no, you shouldn't have did it. That was too soon. And for whatever reason, I know one big reason they're saying, that there's a big argument over is so there's still so many people that never got vaccinated. So it seems like it's all about, oh, we're gonna have to shut down because so many people is sick. I think it's a lot to do with government, but for whatever case, the real reason is it just sounds like the government they're in the direction of shutting back down. I'm gonna get out here. If we do shut back down, I would definitely be out here and putting in my work. I'm gonna contribute because I'm not homeless no more. And so homelessness is my primary goal, to support the homeless, especially since I have been one on the other side. You know, I know how what we have to go through. I know what homeless people have to go through, on a day-to-day basis. I understand some of the struggle. I understand some of the struggle living with a child and being homeless, a homeless mother. So I will definitely be one out here supporting in any way I can. So I just wanted to hop on because I haven't been on in a while. And I want to just remind you all to support aftercare for the homeless. And by the way, I have changed the name. I've shortened it for you all. You all have told me that the previous name was just way too long. I agree. So I shortened it. It's now aftercare for the homeless. So you don't have to say aftercare for the homeless prototype for you. That's no longer. That's over with. That's yesterday's news. So yeah. But be sure you guys be on the lookout for aftercare for the homeless. Once again, it's a non-profit organization that I have started because I want to support the homeless. You know, once hopefully I build my business up to be able to have a facility so that I can help even more. Because that's my goal. My goal is to take off with this thing, okay? I want to be the support for the homeless after they leave the shelter. Because once you leave, I guarantee you it's so much more that you need to learn. It don't just stop there when you get out of the homeless shelter. If you're fortunate enough to leave the homeless shelter and have your own apartment, mm-mm, the real stuff begins. So you have to, you got to be ready. You have to be educated. And so that's where I come in at, you know, where I can teach the homeless what to do next, what steps to take next after leaving homeless shelters. Any questions that you may have, I can answer them. Oh, yeah, I can help you out. Just holler at your girl, honey. All you got to do is remember aftercare. After you leave the homeless shelter, you come see me. And I get you straight. Like for example, if you want to leave, maybe you end up in a homeless shelter because you were in an abusive situation. This ain't had to be the reason, but I'm just saying, if you were in there for it because of abusive situation, you and your babies, if you have children, and y'all would end up in a homeless shelter because you know, of abusive situation. And you don't want to go back. You don't even want to go back to the area and live in the same city and state where your abuser was living at. I can help you. I have the ability, the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to help you out of your situation and help you, rebuild your life. if that's what you want to do. If you want to move far, far away, oh, I'm an expert at getting you far, far away. If you don't know how to do that yourself, all you got to do is aftercare for the homeless. Look me up. That's all you got to do. So, I hope you all have learned something new today. I'm going to go ahead and hop off. I wish you all well. Stay safe and be careful out here. Don't be surprised if we get shut back down. But anyway, you all have a nice evening, and I will chat with you all soon. Bye-bye.